You are listening to Adda, a Transfin podcast. These are 15-minute conversations to achieve a singular objective, that is, to intrigue, amuse, and nudge you into thinking a little deeper. Also listen in for some riveting icebreakers. Do subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google to get that nice little notification every time an episode goes live.
Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of Adda. Today we chat on two topics that have been on our minds. First is the mega IPO of the energy giant Saudi Aramco. And second, we talk about why probably every map that you ever come across was wrong.
Hi Sudharma, what's up bro?
The ceiling?
Oh my god, that's so lame Sudharma.
Come on, it's like a dad joke and dad jokes are just the best.
Okay, do you have any better ones?
Like so many. For example, do you know cannibals?
Yeah, human eating.
Yes,
right?
yes. Well, do you know why they don't eat clowns?
Because they are scary?
No, because they taste funny.
Oh, God, so bad.
Come on, you just don't like good humor and good comedy.
Yeah, my bad, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, what have you been reading these days?
Well, these days, everywhere I look, everywhere I see, everyone's talking about the Aramco IPO.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean,
It's very huge. Actually, it's supposed to be like the biggest IPO ever.
Yes. I mean, so the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
I thought that you were going to say Salam there.
Yeah, it's a rookie mistake. I do that all the time. Also, quote unquote, adorably known as MBS.
Adorably, yes. Very,
Yes.
very quote unquote.
Yes.
MBS, yes.
So, MBS is hoping to list the company at a valuation of $2 trillion.
Wait, $2 trillion?
$2 trillion, which is $2,000 billion. It's equivalent to the market capitalization of all Indian listed companies on BSE.
So wait, every Indian company is worth less than one company in Saudi Arabia?
All the Indian companies cumulatively listed. The
God.
market capitalization of all the Indian companies listed on BSE. It's more than that.
That is just, I can't even wrap my head around it, but that's like a very big valuation.
It's insane, right? And
So wait, so it's going to be valued at what, like $2 trillion?
no, actually, that's the thing, right? So the logistics now, the Saudi government, it's like MBS is planning to list the company on the domestic exchange, which is Tadawul. And
That's in Saudi Arabia, of course, in Riyadh.
Yes. I mean, there were talks of listing the companies in Tokyo also.
I
But,
came across that.
Yeah, so that'll be an option which would be explored at the later stage.
Okay.
But currently, they're trying to list the company on Tadawul, and $2 trillion is the amount which MBS has quoted. However, bankers and other consultants are valuing the company at a lesser amount, that is at 1.7 trillion.
That's very, very less.
Not so much, but still. But interestingly, international investors are valuing it at even lesser, which is 1.5 trillion. Now, MBS has quoted 1.5 trillion as the base amount, which he says, I mean, that's the amount below which he won't accept
Okay.
the listing, right? So, yeah, that is it. I mean, see, Saudi Aramco is one of the... Okay, I mean, not a good time to ask the question, but nevertheless, did you know that Saudi Aramco is one of the biggest... it's the most profitable company in the world. Like,
Really?
if you were to be asked, I mean, you'd probably say what?
I would say Apple or Amazon.
Yeah, I mean,
because
but I know
there
it's
are obvious answers
yeah,
here.
it's a little obvious here, but
But then again, yeah, I'm guessing because, Aramco pumps out oil, which is, well, the black gold.
Yes.
It does somehow make sense that it would be more profitable
Right.
than Apple or Amazon or any other company on earth.
Alibaba also probably. I mean, interestingly, Alibaba till date has the largest
The world's
IPO.
biggest IPO, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
so
was at around
in
25 billion.
20, yeah, I mean, it was in 2014, I'm guessing.
Okay.
And that was in the New York Stock Exchange.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So now I think Alibaba is looking at listing
And it's eyeing Hong Kong.
In
Yeah.
Hong Kong, right.
But of course, I don't think it'll be as big as Saudi Aramco's IPO.
No, it's of course not. I mean, so Saudi Aramco is also trying to list only 2 to 5% of its shares.
So
right?
hold on. So only 2 to 5%, and even then it'll be the biggest IPO
Yes,
ever.
because even 2 to 5% of shares at a 2 trillion valuation would be around 100 billion.
My God, that's a very big company. It's a very vast company.
Right. And that's precisely why there has been a lot of debate around the valuation, right? I mean, all investors are just, I mean, they're taking into account a lot of risk which would be involved once the shares have been listed on the exchange.
But then, what are some risks involved in investing in oil? Because I'm guessing oil is always very lucrative an investment. So
it is always a very lucrative investment, but I mean, a primary factor is like the price of oil is very volatile, right?
it keeps going up and down. Yeah, right.
It does,
Yeah.
right? In the last 2 to 3 years alone, it has spiked up by 50%.
That's 50?
Yes, 50%,
Okay.
and also gone down by the same number.
But then why? I'm guessing it's because of like terrorism and war and all the politics of the Arab world and the oil producing countries.
Yes,
Is that
all
why?
of that. And if you remember vaguely, OPEC at the beginning of this year also
OPEC,
had,
the oil cartel.
The oil cartel, yes. It also had this discussion on how it needs to cut production, cut output, so that the prices spike.
Right.
Once again.
Because of course they want the cost of oil to be high.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's how they basically earn more money. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So alongside that, I mean, so oil price volatility. Along with that, if you also recall, there was a recent attack on the oil Aramco's oil facilities.
Yes, I did read about that.
Right. So that
Allegedly by Iran, I read.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that attack, it wiped out almost half of the production capacity of Aramco. I mean, of course, they have built it up over the past
Wiped
couple
out.
of months
What do you mean by that?
because the facility was just destroyed.
Okay, so
It
they
was a
so
drone
basically
attack,
so
right?
okay, so they cut oil production by half.
No, they had to. The facilities were damaged.
Okay,
right?
fine.
But they
All right.
have repaired it over the couple of months, and
Okay.
now it's. I mean, it's improved drastically, but it's still comparatively lower than what it was capable of.
So I'm
right?
guessing as such attacks will of course affect the price of oil.
Yes.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
Right. And to add to that, Saudi Aramco in the 9 months ending in September, it reported a decline in net profits, 18% decline in net profits year on year.
Okay,
Right.
and that's because of the price of oil again.
Yes.
And this is exactly why people are a bit apprehensive about Aramco's valuation.
These are also factors including, and so a couple of other factors. So oil volatility in oil price is one reason. Another huge reason is that, so as I told you, only 2 to 5% of the shares of Saudi Aramco are to be expected to be
yeah,
listed, right? The Saudi Arabia government still is a majority shareholder with about 95 to 98% of the shareholding.
It's still a government-owned company.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, massively, right? And so any private investor or international investor would be a little wary on buying stake in a company in which the Saudi Arabian government has such
Because it's Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia and
Doesn't particularly have
yes,
a very clean record.
and if I
in most
get a
things.
smirk right, I think you are also pointing towards the unfortunate
Murder of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Yeah.
Yes.
Khashoggi, sorry, I keep forgetting his name. But yeah,
Yes,
that was
Jamal.
brutal. And I think after that, there was like a lot of global hue and cry over Saudi Arabian of the Crown Prince MBS's like alleged involvement.
yes.
But yeah, I mean, such incidents would of course even affect the share price of Aramco.
Of course.
in the future.
Of course, I mean,
yeah.
just obvious that because the Saudi Arabian government has the majority shareholding, it's just obvious that all international, I mean, it's immediately after the incident, a lot of foreign investors were very, very averse to like investing in any Saudi Arabian company or even
Okay.
just having any kind of ties with that kind of a country which has that kind of record.
And if like such an incident were to happen again, while Aramco's IPO had already been done, it would of course affect the company's prospects as well, which is a risk that any investor would take into account before investing.
Yes, of course. I mean, so that being there, investors are also just very cautious. I mean, even if they have like as small a share as 2%, the kind of, I mean, they would not really have much say in the day-to-day happenings of the company or even on the profits, right? And the Saudi government would also be at its own disposable. I mean, say MBS calls himself the reformer, right?
Right.
It's trying to come up with a lot of new projects, a lot of reforms. So, I mean, it won't be surprising. A lot of investors also speculate that the Saudi government, if at one point in time they would need more money, more funds, they might just pick it up from Aramco's profits, excess profits.
Right. I'm just thinking, I mean, what is the dividend offered to investors exactly?
Oh,
by
that's a
Aramco?
very good question. That's a very good question. So currently, Aramco gives out dividend of 75 billion.
Okay.
Right. So at 75 billion at a 2 trillion valuation, which is what MBS is currently quoting, the dividend yield is just 3.75%.
I'm guessing that's lower than its peers in the energy market.
Yes, it's massively lower. So
How, like, as in, like, if you were to, like, say, compare it with any other energy company, how much would that be?
For some comparison, I think Royal Dutch, it gives out a dividend yield of around 6 to 7%.
Right.
It's that
that's
low.
like half of it.
Right. I mean, and it's very obvious then why investors are pushing for like a lower valuation. So say if the valuation were pegged at 1.7 trillion, the dividend yield would be 4.4%, right? And lower at 1.5 trillion, it's 5%. So it's still getting closer to what the international peers are offering, but still lower, right? And considering all the risk premium which we earlier discussed about, I mean, just the oil price volatility and just the
Saudi Arabian government.
Yes, association with the Saudi Arabian government.
It's not the ideal company to invest in.
It's not, right? So they obviously
despite its size and the fact that it, like, pumps out so much oil.
Yes. Yes. And the Saudi Arabian government, precisely because of that reason, they just, I mean, so currently, as I told you, they're giving out a dividend of 75 billion. They have promised that they'll spike it up by 5 billion and give out 80 billion in the next couple of months, and eventually take it up to 100 billion. So that's just one tactic which is on the table, so to lure more investors.
Well, it depends. I mean, will investors buy into just the Saudi Arabian government's vision or not?
I don't know.
Well, I think only time will tell.
Yeah, but would you invest in Saudi Aramco?
I would love to, but I don't have any money.
Dude, it's almost month end. The salary is right on its way. Don't worry.
I can't invest everything I have to buy one share of Saudi Aramco, Simi. Come on.
Sure. Why not?
That too at a 3.5% dividend? I don't think so.
Good. These conversations really help, don't they?
I think they help you more than they help me, but okay.
Sure.
Anyway, you know what I really love to do, right?
Yeah.
Maps.
Oh, okay.
I
we
love
all
maps.
Know.
Yes. So basically, I mean, they are such beautiful things because they give you so much information. This one tiny map can give you so much information and data about the world or about one country.
Yes.
Right. But fun fact, I think almost every world map that you have ever seen would be wrong, would be incorrect, I'm guessing.
Huh? Why?
So Simi, what shape is the Earth? What is the shape of the Earth?
It's a sphere.
Wow, you actually knew that.
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
You're an art student, so I thought you might not know that.
Come on.
Anyway, so basically the Earth is a sphere.
Yeah.
And it is impossible to transcribe a sphere onto a rectangular 2D surface.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, just think about it. If you have a globe at home, right? Just cut it open, tear it up, and then try to push it onto a 2D surface. It is physically impossible because the rules of math don't allow it.
Yes.
Right. And that is the basic problem here.
Okay.
And so the only way to ensure that the Earth is transposed onto a 2D surface is to edit, or basically, add some edits here and there.
Okay. What are these edits?
So let me give you an example. So the world map that is often seen, for example, on Google, right? On that, Greenland seems to be very, very big.
Yes.
Greenland. It seems bigger than Africa. But in reality, it's around 14 times tinier than Africa.
14 times?
14
that's
times.
The extension of the distortion.
Exactly. Yes.
It's crazy.
So basically, the kind of map that is seen around the world is called the Mercator map.
Mercator.
Yes, that's Mercator.
Okay.
And this is wrong because they ensure that the shape of every place on Earth is true, but the trade-off they add is on the size. So basically, as you move farther and farther from the equator, the size of every inch of land is basically extended a bit, so elongated until as soon as you reach the poles, it becomes so huge. So even though the shape is ensured to be the same, the size is edited extensively.
Right.
So,
But don't maps have this like I think scale beneath
scale,
which will
1
say
is to
that
100 and 1 is to
right.
1000
So
kilometers.
which
and all
say
that
that
stuff.
every centimeter is equal to so and so kilometers,
yeah,
right?
I mean, like,
doesn't that account for the discrepancy?
That is, but then the point is, as you move towards the poles, the size of the grids becomes far bigger.
Okay.
I mean, even if you see any world map, right? The grids are proper around the equator, but then as they move towards the poles, they become rectangles and not squares because of the elongation. So yeah, I mean, one more example I can give you is India seems to be very, very small compared to, say, China. But then in reality, it's like around 1/3 to almost, I would say almost, like greater than 1/3 the size of China. Or for example, inside Africa, you could fit all of Russia, all of the US, and then even then have some gap for India.
Oh wow.
Yes. So it's just so amazing how almost everything we see, something that is seen every day on a daily basis is completely wrong.
Right, but so tell me, I mean, does this distortion in the size, is it also because it's a British projection?
Well, historically, yeah, but then also because like this map does a very good job of ensuring that the shape of every country is the same.
Oh, okay.
Even though the size is like very
Got it.
very very wrong.
Right. So is there in fact any kind of map which does show like almost a nearby correct estimate?
So there's this other one called the Gaull-Peters map, basically.
Okay.
So in this, the size of every place on Earth is the same. It's like true, but it does so by trading off on the shape of countries.
Okay.
So basically, if you see this map, India seems to be very elongated.
Right.
China seems to be very, very suffocated, and Greenland seems tiny as hell.
Yeah.
But then this is the true size.
India is suffocated because of the pollution and the population.
That is very, very sad and true to me. But yeah, that is a fact.
Yes.
Point is, it's so interesting. Maps are such brilliant things, but people just don't find them interesting anymore. Just sad.
There, don't lose heart, Siddharth. I mean, I'm sure this conversation would really know what the discrepancy is. They'll
I
write
really
back
hope
to you.
they do.
Don't worry. We'll leave
please
your
do,
probably
please do.
email
It really-
address
it
down
really
in the
make my
description
day.
or somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
Well, cool conversation, yeah.
I learned so much about the Aramco IPO, which is
Yes.
upcoming.
I don't think we're investing still. I mean, did you? Will you? No?
If you can give me money, then yeah, sure, I would. And also, why are you pushing me to invest in Aramco? What are you, like a Saudi agent?
Come on, that's you always.
Oh
end it
no,
with
oh
something.
no, we are live and I just made a great big revelation.
You always end it on a very controversial note, don't you?
Controversy is the best friend of every. What's that quote? I can't think of the quote, but
I
fine.
remember.
I just
know.
thought something.
It's a bad one if you can't recall
Yeah.
it.
But
Cool. That was great. Thank you.
that was. I can't wait for our next recording where we talk about God knows what. That's all for today, folks. Thank you for listening in. Do subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google. See you soon.